Good morning. My name is Chris Parkin. I know a lot of folks in the room. I'm sure a lot of people know me here at this point. A little bit of background for everybody and the folks watching at home. And first, thank you to Deb and the PTA for the opportunity. It's a great opportunity to have a few minutes to talk to folks, in a somewhat long-form fashion to sort of explain where we're all coming from. I came to Reading in 2009 with my family. I have 3 children. They're in 6th grade, 3rd grade, and kindergarten. So I'm in it for the long haul at this point. I am a lawyer by trade. I currently work for a public company in Richfield. I manage a litigation program. We have 2,000 employees coast to coast. Before moving in-house, I did a lot of work in the educational sector. I've represented school boards, I've represented teachers, I've represented parents, families. I've seen the issues facing boards from 360 degrees. I'm also heavily involved in the community. I spend more time out of the house on the weekends than in the house, whether it's at baseball games or scouting events. For the past 4 years, I was the committee chairman for PAC 118 here in Reading, which is the single Cub Scout unit we have in town. I was singularly involved and responsible for the administration of up to 100, 120 kids at any given time. So I've learned through that process a lot about what sort of the pulse of the community is, what people are concerned about, particularly folks with school-age children. Hearing their concerns on a regular basis has sort of shaped a lot of where I'm coming from and what my views on all these things are. But sort of the question everybody asks me is, why am I running? Why would I put myself through this? Why am I, fighting with 4 other people for a volunteer job where I'm going to be here late at night once or twice a month? The answer is really simple. I value this town and I value the schools. I moved here, like most of you did, because the schools are very important. I wanted to be in a community where my children could thrive and where I could have them in a school system that would help them develop on an academic and social and personal level. And I think that that's what Reading has always provided, and I want to make sure that that's what Reading continues to provide. They're our #1 asset, and the schools are our #1 driver of what our property values are. And so it's important to maintain their excellence so that we can hope to sell our properties at some point in the future at roughly what we paid for them, if not more. And I think that sound stewardship of our schools is key to the future success of our community. As a lawyer, and as a community member, and as somebody who's been attending meetings in this room for years at this point, I'm able to provide a perspective that can hit the ground running and provide leadership to our board at a time when we're going to have considerable turnover, where come November, the single longest tenured board member, I think, will be 6 years. After that, it'll be 2 years. After that, it might be 7 months. And we have new administration. We have a superintendent only in his 3rd or 4th year. We have a new principal at RES. We have a new special education director coming on board. And so I think it's critically important to have somebody on the board who can hit the ground running, who understands what the issues are. We also have to understand as a Board of Education that we can't control everything. There's a lot of discord in Hartford, but ultimately the Board of Education is going to have very little impact on what happens in Hartford or doesn't. What we can do is be adequately prepared for what may or may not happen with state budgets, so that we know how to position ourselves and our school to protect ourselves from the bumps along the road as they may come. And so there are 3 principles motivating my campaign. First is long-range planning, second is communication, and third is goal-oriented budgeting. First, with respect to long-range planning, I think that it is critically important that the Board of Education and the community at large move beyond a budget cycle to budget cycle to budget cycle mentality and start asking ourselves, what do we want to be in the future? There was a lot of discussion back in September in the Board of Finance arguments about the Democratic primary there about what we should be looking like and what the schools should look like. And lots of numbers were thrown around about, well, in 1996, school class sizes were such and such. I don't care about 1996. I care about what our schools look like in 2026. And I think that the schools need to be looking forward about what the future of education needs to be. The jobs that our kids are going to come out with don't exist right now. And we need to be positioning our schools in a forward-thinking way. And the only way to do that is with strategic long-term planning. To sit down and to say, what do we want the schools to look like and how are we going to get there? What's the curriculum that's going to get there? What's the policies that's going to get there? And what are the people that are going to get us there? Because if we continue along the status quo, we're going to end up trailing the districts around us that are thinking prospectively and are thinking toward the future. With respect to communication, I think the biggest problem we have as a community when it comes to the discussion of education is a lack of understanding of what the issues are. If anybody's on Facebook, they know that there is a ton of misinformation about that, about what is or isn't true with respect to the schools, with respect to the budget, with respect to the state standards, with respect to the administrators here or at other buildings. And I think that it's critically important that the board do a better job communicating its goals, its current situation, and really celebrate its successes in the community. Because by having a broader engagement with the community about what we're doing well, we can have better engagement in how we can do it better as a community and leverage all the resources of our community going forward. And part of that is getting rid of really the jargon that I think dominates a lot of Board of Education meetings and a lot of educational conversations. We have administrators giving brilliant presentations for half an hour at a time using terms that the average parent doesn't understand at all. And I think if we turn the conversation towards plain English, we're going to get much better engagement and leverage a lot more of the brilliant resources we have in town. And